TB. Gulfstream Park, the championship meet, running now through Florida Derby weekend, March 31st.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America. I am Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. Another fun Saturday ahead. Plenty of great racing across the country, but the highlight today will be Tampa Bay Downs. Sam Davis, 3-year-olds, always fun along the Triple Crown Trail to kind of get some ideas after last weekend. I don't know whether we came out of last weekend with any solid ideas. NYSO certainly looked good out in Southern California. Mystic Dan, I think, still maybe has some question marks. We'll see if we can get something out of the Sam Davis today, but lots of great stakes action on the undercard as well. And who better to reach out to talk some Tampa Bay than our friend Ren Carothers. You see her in the paddock every racing day, doing the pre-race every racing day. And you saw her in the paddock yesterday. And so I thought we'd check in and get some thoughts on the stakes action for Saturday from Ren. Ren, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. Very excited.
And as I say, I saw you in the paddock yesterday. I texted you to ask if you were available this morning, and I said I was envious. I will say it looked like a gorgeous day. It looked a little breezy early on, though.
No, there was a nice breeze. It was one of those beautiful sunny days where it wasn't an oppressive heat. I will say I am sunburned. I've been in Kentucky, obviously. Yeah. So the weather there, a bit colder, been covered up. So being out in the sun all day, I kind of match. If you're using the same picture from when we did our interview at Saratoga, I'm wearing that dress today. So I think I've coordinated my skin color to my dress today.
Very good. Very good. We like to be on the ball like that. Also pulled up last night. I pulled up the Equibase stats on the human side of things because whenever I talk about a particular track, I like to give folks some thoughts. And you're watching Tampa every day, so you're aware as well. And on the jockey side of things, same old. Sammy Camacho back on top. Gallardo going very well. Trainer side of things, this has been since the beginning of the meet. Kathleen O'Connell is just on fire. You get D'Angelo, and then you get some of the same old with Gerald Bennett. He always does very well, but Greg Sacco's having a good meet as well. So the ones that jump out at me, Kathleen O'Connell is fabulous, although she's also starting a lot of horses, but Greg Sacco having a nice meet down there as well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, these barns are firing, and it's nice to see. I mean, Kathleen has just been, tried and true there year after year at Tampa Bay Downs. So it's really cool to see the barn having such consistent success.
I'll ask you, too, because I've asked people the past couple of weeks, any thoughts on the Eclipse Awards? Any surprises? Or what? I'm thinking no, because I was surprised. My ballot was pretty much matched up. I kind of whiffed on Turf Female, but otherwise I was right there. And I was surprised when I saw the vote totals. Everybody was kind of a slam dunk when you looked at the vote totals. But I will note, and I think everybody felt the same way, Horse of the Year, it was nice to see the Cody Dorman family, his father up there. That was a nice way to end the night, I thought. But any thoughts on the Eclipse Awards this year?
I mean, I think the voters pretty much nailed it. I think you could have made the argument one way or the other for, I totally see Up to the Mark being champion Turf Male, but I think you could have made the argument for Auguste Rodin. I know he only had the one start here, and so people say, well, the award should go to whoever was, consistently running over here. But the provisions allow for any horse to be, an Eclipse Award winner so long as they've had at least one start here. So you could have made the argument there, but I'm certainly happy with Up to the Mark having gotten the award. But yeah, Cody's wish, had he not been Horse of the Year, I think I would have had a meltdown. I think for me, the Eclipse Awards can never be as simple as just tallying up the stats, how many, races won at, by whatever margin this, that, the other. Obviously, that should be the main factor, but I do think there's an element of what has the horse done for racing as well that goes into it. And I think the other thing that I factor into the equation is Cody's Wish maintaining form year to year, to have won last year and then, the Breeders' Cup, and then come back and defend his title. I think there's something to be said for a horse being able to stay true to form.
Yeah, no question about it. And as you say, it goes beyond just the numbers. I think there was a little bit of sentimentality in that, and I don't have any argument with it. It was a great story all year long that I think benefited horse racing, and had the bittersweet element to it certainly towards the end of the year. But it was nice that the family got up there.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That was a great way, as I say, end the evening. All right, let's jump in and take a look at the action at Tampa this afternoon. Update us. I checked earlier. It looks like the weather's going to be great down there.
Yes, it's gorgeous. I'm ready for my second sunburn.
Gotta go out and get a little lotion. You gotta.
I know. I'm half Middle Eastern. There's this grudge within me when it comes to the idea of sunblock and whatnot. I'm like, I'm Middle Eastern. I should be able to take it.
When I was a kid, for a number of years, I was a lifeguard at a swimming pool, and I got toasted so much that now on the safe side, I put on like the SPF 100 when I go out now, but or just plenty of clothes and a hat. But again, I am envious watching you, and we'll be watching all afternoon. And we will start out with what will be the highlight this afternoon: the Sam Davis Grade 3 event for the 3-year-olds, $250,000, mile and a 16th. And we just wrapped up our handicapping show, and I said I'm taking a little bit of a shot in here with Fulmineo. That one and Crazy Mason are coming out of the same race, and we're going to watch the stretch run to that. Fulmineo is going to take the lead, and I told people if they pulled up the replay, Fulmineo got off badly, was wide all the way around, and was kind of in a drive because of the bad start. Was kind of in a drive most of the way around, but we're watching the stretch run here. And Crazy Mason makes a great late run to get up for the win. So these were two, I think, very good performances. But I thought Fulmineo had more of a trip to overcome. So I'm going to go with Fulmineo on top. I have changed the command in the second spot. Agate Road on the turf to dirt move. The plan B call for the Pletcher Barn is interesting to me as well. How did you see the Sam Davis?
Well, I think obviously Fulmineo certainly has a live look about him, but I saw a post recently from somebody I respect in the industry too, saying that he thinks Agate Road would be a bad play even at 72 because of the whole switch up and whatnot. And I mean, you could definitely, in general, I would agree with the argument about horses who are making a surface switch move after having only one start on the surface they're going back to, and it not being all that impressive. In terms of a figure, normally I would agree with that. The caveat here with this horse, and I mean, not to give away the bag array, but that's where I vacillated between him and Elysian Meadows, and I'll get to that in a minute. But with Agate Road, the whole thing with him is, we've seen this graded stakes ability from him on the turf. He was in the Breeders' Cup juvenile turf there, got beat just 2.5 lengths by Unquestionable. But that one dirt start he had, that was on debut. That was a race that was intended for the turf. It was taken off, run at Saratoga at the mile. That's down that chute. He had a terrible start. It was just his debut. Terrible start. Was completely wonky. It was like zigzagging. Spotted the field like 10 lengths, and there was no pace at which to run. And he came closing. And when you watch that race, it looked like he won. And the camera guy thought he won. They stayed on him after the race. But then it wasn't until the photo that you saw, because he was in front right before the wire, just missed the wire, and then in front past the wire. So I think this is a horse. I mean, he's obviously bred for dirt, quality road, out of a gemologist mare, Yellow Agate, who, as we know, won the Frizette. I just think that he is, I mean, if this was, a plan B and they weren't planning on doing a multi-entry, because I'm not so sure that it was just going to be locked. Todd has routinely, brought a couple horses, and in this case, he's got Tireless in here as well. I'm wondering if Tireless was filling that maybe second spot, although he did put in that nice debut. But Agate Road, I think the horse does make a lot of sense here. And I don't know how everything's going to play out in terms of the pace necessarily, but the fact that he was able to close so well on debut, despite having nothing at which to run at first asking, and now he's a more seasoned horse. I just think that he looks, pretty legitimate. Now, as far as where I want to kind of get in a price if I can, and by the way, I'll also mention if Todd should win this race, it'll be the 8th time he's done it, which is amazing. Another former trainer or a former winner of the race, Bill Mott. And Bill Mott, he kind of did the same sort of move when he won with Candyman Rocket, and then he also had Nova Rex. He got the Exacta when he won the Sam Davis a couple of years ago. Elysian Meadows he's bringing in here, and I know both starts, both wins, but this has been against New York bred competition, so restricted. This horse is not bred to sprint, and he doesn't look like a sprinter from what I can see in the replays. He looks like a 2-turn horse. So the fact that he's been able to win sprinting, I find pretty fascinating. We saw that the horse that he beat last out went on to win the Rego Park Stakes, which is a restricted race for New York breds. But still, I really think that Elysian Meadows is the type that we could see show up pretty well here, getting to go the 2 turns. Another thing I will also say is I have this quote from Antonio Gallardo stuck in my head. Where he was talking about the surface at Tampa Bay Downs and how it can be kind to turf horses. Because both Agate Road, obviously having run on turf, and Elysian Meadows has a lot of turfy pedigree from the mom's side. I believe she's related to Salvarev. I think it can be kind, again, to these types of horses. So I'm going to put him in the 2nd spot and then change of command. I've read a quote from Shug McGahee as to why he is adding those blinkers. He felt he should have won that last race more decisively. He wants him to finish better, and that is why those are going on.
I did not use Elysian Meadows. The other 2 I used, and Agate Road, I think, like you, is interesting. And Todd Pletcher, I'm always going to trust him on the Triple Crown Trail. But I had some check marks next to Elysian Meadows. As I say, I didn't use that one, but I totally agree. Interesting at a little bit of a price. And I may sneak him in my mix in some fashion.
Just put him in the exotic.
Yeah. 8th race this afternoon at Tampa. It's the Pelican. 4-year-olds and up, they're going to go 3/4 of a mile. I pulled up a replay of the allowance optional claimer middle of December at Oaklawn. Super Ocho is the winner here, the number 7. And I said on the handicapping show earlier, I think he stands a chance to speed pop this bunch. There are others in here with some early speed, so I'm not sure that's going to happen, but I think that's a possibility. So I took a little shot with him. Clearly, Nakatomi is going to take a lot of action. You run second with a 105 buyer in the Breeders' Cup Sprint behind Elite Power and Gun Night. It's a Wesley Ward runner. Nakatomi, to me, the one to beat. Sibelius, I think, is interesting. Caramel Chip, I have liked throughout the career. But I'm taking a little shot with Super Ocho. How did you see the Pelican?
I mean, I am just a chalky person here, so I'm not even going to pretend. Nakatomi, when you're coming out of the Breeders' Cup Sprint, you just mentioned one by Elite Power. That was Elite Power's 2nd win in the race. The 4 horses to run back out of there, 3 of them, all whom finished, all of them that finished behind Nakatomi, they were all next out winners, all with 3-digit buyers. We had Speedboat Beats with the Grade 1 Malibu, the Chosen Brawn, who had won a Grade 1 Bing Crosby. He went on to win the Cary Grant and the Cal Cup Sprint. You had Hoist the Gold next win the Cigar Mile, which it still blows my mind that's not still a Grade 1, but he did it by 4.5 lengths. And even the last place runner, that was Free Technique, he earned a 94 buyer running 4th in the Cigar Mile. So, he just looks like the class of the field. But, we've seen horses lose before, but it also does look to me like this race is going to set up.
Yeah, as I say, I think it goes through Nakatomi. I was taking a little shot just on a pace scenario that I'm not totally sure is going to play out. But we'll see.
Well, I will say things might make it a little bit more easy in terms from the pace dynamic and maybe a little less cooking because I believe, let me just double check before I say it out loud. I believe that I think Hurricane J is out.
Okay.
Who's on the rail. So that might make things obviously a bit more or less of a heater, so to speak. But I just want to clarify before I just give you that information. I'm pulling it up right now. Hurricane J is out.
Okay, very good. So that may take a little of the pace out and make my scenario a little more intriguing. All right, race earlier, the Minaret, fillies and mares. They're vying for $50,000 at 6 furlongs. I'm going to take a shot with Dream Concert, but I wanted to pull up because I'm a homer. I got to pull up a Saratoga race. I'm going back a couple of years here. And the horse that I think will take some action is Chi-Town Lady. Again, Wesley Ward runner. And we're going to watch the test from a couple summers back. Chi-Town Lady's going to be the number 7. Gets it done. Does get it done notably at 17-1. and has not had a win since. And again, this was a couple of years ago, hasn't been seen since June of last year. But again, being a Wesley Ward runner and people seeing the test victory on the resume, I think Chi-Town Lady's going to take some action. But I'm going to take a little pop with Dream Concert for Kathleen the aforementioned Kathleen O'Connell, coming out of a couple of close-up seconds in stakes at Tampa so far this season. Unifying is interesting. Dreaming of Snow for Gerald Bennett and Sammy Camacho down at the bottom of my mix. What did you see in the Minaret?
Oh gosh, it's so embarrassing. But I at the end of the day, I go class. I mean, I feed off, and first I look at pace, and it just looks to me like the pace is going to set up here for the class, which is Chi-Town Lady. And it's been a bit of a go stop career, as you went over. But she comes running every time. Yeah. And, so I just figure, like I said, it's going to set up for her. I mean, she's not going to be in against the likes of Goodnight Olive or Echo Zulu, Wicked Halo, or even Hot Fudge did well, obviously, in her next start out of the race, the one that Chi-Town Lady is coming out of. The other thing I would say, let's see. Well, actually, Hot Fudge actually made it 4 consecutive scores, including 2 stakes races at it. So another horse that I like is Unifying. She's in for Riley Mott. We've got Junior aboard. She ran third, beaten 4 in the Rampart Stakes at Gulfstream Park. That was going a mile. It was the first off the layoff, first against Boulder. She had some traffic issues that day. Where you kind of have the wall of horses and you're trying to figure out where to go. So I think that she is a horse with a lot of upside. And I actually completed my top 3 with Lady Rattler. She, not too long ago, I mean, I know she's got the 1 start at Tampa, but, that's when she ran third to Dorth Bader in the Sandpiper Stakes back in 2022, and she'd gone to the lead that day. She looks like a more mature horse. She knows how to rate now. And I think that, in the Raven Run, you're in a grade 2, you're showing a bit of tracking speed in there. The winner is Vava. And Alpha Star is a very nice horse who had run second in that race. So that's the way I went with it.
Yeah, I looked at Lady Rattler, and I may regret leaving her out. The 2 workouts leading into this led me to believe she may be a little bit interesting, at least on the underneath side. And Chi-Town Lady, is likely the one to beat in there. But I'm going to take a little pop with Dream again, leading trainer. We'll see if Kathleen O'Connell can make.
I have no problem with you taking swings because I was kind of like looking at myself in the mirror. It's like, what are you doing here, Ren? Why are you going favorite?
Well, you got to. We both have swings in the big race, so that counts. I think, and it'll be interesting if our thoughts kind of mesh up for something in the big race. But I will say,
I'm going to chalk it out here. You're going to go to Suncoast, and I'm talking out.
I'm right with you. In the Suncoast, okay. I couldn't get past Life Talk, and I pulled up a replay of the Demoiselle. She comes out of an okay effort in the Breeders' Cup, and then follows it up in the Demoiselle and just looks very good. And I earlier on the handicapping show, I gave the stats for Pletcher the last few years at Tampa. He's not invincible at Tampa, but he clearly is picking his spots, and he does very well when he comes over. I think this is a clever spot to kick off the 4-year-old season, or excuse me, the 3-year-old season for a Life Talk. I think she's going to be a nice 3-year-old filly for Pletcher and Rapoli. I thought Power Squeeze was maybe a little bit interesting if folks are looking for a price. The aforementioned Greg Sacco has Gorgeous Girl, who I think could be a little bit of a
that's
player.
My second choice.
Yeah.
Gorgeous Girl is my second choice. Well, I mean, the thing with Life Talk, I think a lot of people figure, okay, well, she was running. She wasn't winning in those graded stakes races, and that was at 2 years old. And, there was a bias there the day that she won the Demoiselle and on the rail there in the mud. So maybe she's not as, maybe that's not as impressive as it looks because of that bias. Coming in off the layoff, Oh, sorry, you can make that your ringtone for me. But what I look at when I look at this is I look at the pedigree, because at the end of the day, what am I? I'm a pedigree, right? Yep. And she is by Gunrunner, and she's out of a Bernardini Mary. That is a fine wine pedigree right there. So the fact that she was as good as she was at 2 years old is more incentive for me to now like her here, into this 3-year-old season. And so that's why I'm not trying to, because a lot of times, of course, we see these horses who were precocious and they were really good in that juvenile season, but then they just don't follow that up at 3 because the other horses have now caught up to them. So I don't think that's the case here with Life Talk. Now, as far as Gorgeous Girl, I love this horse because she has shown what you cannot train into a horse. She has shown so much heart. She, in the first start at Tampa Bay Downs, was taking on the boys in an optional 75. And out of that gate, she didn't just get bumped. She got ping-ponged back and forth multiple times like a rag doll. And somehow, some way, she did not let that deter her. She was back, linked behind the boys, but then she ran up. She got to the inside of them. And then she made her way and angled out and made a big run when she straightened out and stretched like a good thing. Just flicking those legs out there, looking like she had plenty in the tank. So to me, it looked pretty certain that had that start not been so compromised, she would have been your winner over them. And then in the Gasparilla, it doesn't say it in the comment line at all, but she had another bad start. It wasn't quite as dramatic as what had happened to her in that sprint at the 6.5 furlongs with the boys, but in the Gasparilla, which is at 7, yeah, I mean, she had another bad go, but she came with a run yet again, was beat just by a small margin by Mystic Lake. So now we're going to go the 2 turns here. And I know she's been she's been 8.5 before. That was in the Salima, but that was on turf. I don't even look at that. This is a dirt race. So I think this is a horse, if she's ready to roll, is going to come with a run. And I think she certainly factors for at least a piece, and she could even upset. But yes, as far as power squeeze, agree with you there. I read a quote from Jorge Delgado regarding, which might put a little bit more of an answer to why there was such a disparity between the figures that she's had. Because that last race at Delaware Park, I'm a buyer's girl, was a 49, and then she comes back in the cash run and puts up an 82. So when she won that race there at Delaware, she was at like 60, 70%. So that might account for that.
I also say a lot of times, and this source would fit into that. For me, if you have a lightly raced 2-year-old, even a lightly raced 3-year-old, and they get a little time off, they can come back and prove like that. And that's kind of what I was looking at with her. She maybe is kind of just an improved 3-year-old at this point.
Yeah. I mean, she's by Union Rags. Yeah. And out of an awesome again mare. So that would stand to reason for sure.
And we will see this afternoon if she validates that or not. But it's, again, nice little version of the Sun Coast here with some 3-year-old fillies, probably worth looking going forward. And hopefully the Sam Davis provides a little of that on the boys' side. I mentioned the results last week, and my juices were not getting flowing. With Nysos, yes, but he doesn't have the shot at the Derby.
I know.
The Kenny McPeak runner down in Oaklawn, Mystic Dan, I thought was very good, very impressive. But you look at the rest of his resume, it's an aberration that he's going to have to validate. I came out of last week, and Fierceness, it's just oof. I mean, that he gets caught and runs third in there. So last week to me was not putting an exclamation point on my Derby top 10 list anywhere.
No, I mean, and who knows? This is part of that weird equation where we're trying to figure out who our Derby ride is going to be. But I've come to the conclusion I can't even make that decision until at the very earliest March.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Very earliest.
And I always tell people, if you're jumping in one of these future pools, you're in January and February, you got to look for 30 or 40 to 1. The people who are hopping on somebody at 9 to 2 or even 12 or 15 to 1, you got to, those odds aren't even covering getting to the first Saturday in May. So you're right.
No,
once you get into you're right. You get to March, then it starts to sort out. At least hopefully it gets to sort out a little bit more. But we'll get maybe an idea of that this afternoon with the Sam Davis. Ren, as always, appreciate the conversation. It was fun.
Thank you, Seth.
We'll be watching this afternoon here on the network, your paddock commentary. Wish you the best, and we'll talk again.
All right. Well, you enjoy the day. Hope you get some those bets cash.
Appreciate it. All right. Ren Carothers, again, she's in the paddock all day today down at Tampa on a big stakes day down at Tampa, and we'll have it here on the network throughout the afternoon as well. I'm going to wrap it up here because I'm looking, and they have, in fact, kicked off the NYRA pregame. And as I said, we're abbreviated today in anticipation of that 11:50 post time at Aqueduct, and that means they're kicking off the pregame show. So we will go to that. I just did have one note, and I'm not sure if I have it here in my note. Oh, there we go. Today at Golden Gate Fields, race number 7. I just want you to note the El Camino Real Derby, the last El Camino, because unfortunately Golden Gate, one of those tracks that will be going into the sunset with the end of their meet. So it's the last El Camino Real. Endlessly is the favorite for Mike McCarthy, and Mike McCarthy won this race in 2021 with Rombauer, who went on to win the Preakness. And this race is an automatic entry into the Preakness for the winner. So again, the last El Camino Real Derby this afternoon at Golden Gate. That'll be race 7 out there today, so you might want to check that out as well. All right, I'm going to wrap it up, and as I say, send it down to New York. Racing across America for a Saturday morning. Let me remind you once more that this afternoon here at the Clubhouse Racebook, $100 win-a-bet contest. We'd love to have you come down and enjoy all the racing action. Maybe grab a little lunch at Fredella's and play the $100 win-a-bet contest. Maybe win a little extra something. That's this afternoon here at the Racebook. Tomorrow, it's calendar giveaway day, the NYRA calendar, one of our most popular promotions during the year. First 75 folks through the door get a NYRA calendar. That's tomorrow right here at the Clubhouse Racebook. And don't forget, Fredella's tomorrow. We'll have a Super Bowl party at the end of the day. I have a list here of their food and drink specials. Looks great. Chicken wings, appetizer platter, chicken bacon ranch wrap, and some drink specials as well. All of that Fredella's Super Bowl watch party right here tomorrow, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, let's wrap it up and send it to the pregame show at NYRA on this Saturday morning into a nice Saturday afternoon, and I will be back probably just before the NYRA kickoff. And again, their opener is at 11:50, so we'll be back in a little over an hour or so with OTB Live for Saturday afternoon. Stay tuned. Back in a few. Ship meet running now through Florida Derby weekend, March 31st.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.